Let's create our first list. To make a list, we require two square brackets. Then we can write all elements inside of these brackets. Let's suppose our first element is 1, second is 2, and third is 3. To store this list, I will make a variable. I can name it first list. So now in variable first list, we have a list that contains 3 elements 1, 2, and 3. Now we will just print this list to see that if it is correctly made. I will use the print function and then I will print first list. As you can see in the output, the list is printed. Now we can change some elements of this list, like on index 1 I will put a string here, let's say ABC, and I will just run this code. As you can see, it created a list with 3 elements, 1 number at index 0 and a string at index 1 and again a number at index 2. We can also have nested lists, so I will just change the third element of this list to another list and I will add 2 elements in it. Let's say 30 be the first element, second element be a string that can be Hamza. Now we will just run this and as you can see it printed the list. So on this list at index 0 there is a number and on index 1 there is a string and on index 2 there is a list. We can also get a value at some specific index. For that we need to add two square brackets and then specify the index number. Suppose I want to print the string ABC that is on index 1, so I will write index 1 here. So let's see what it prints. I will just quickly run it and as you can see it printed the string ABC that is on index 1 of that list. Now if I change index to 2, it should print the list at third index. So let's see. Yes, it printed the list at the third index, which contains 2 elements 30 and string Hamza. What if I want to get more than 1 elements? For that I need to specify lower and upper limit similarly as we did in strings. So suppose I want the number 1 at index 0 and string ABC at index 1 to be printed. So I will specify a lower limit of 0 and upper limit of 2 because we know that 1 less than the upper limit is included. So it will include index 0 and index 1. Let's see. Yes, it printed the first 2 index. Now if I change the lower limit to 1 and upper limit to 3, it will print last 2 index values. As you can see, it printed last 2 values. So we can play around with these indexes and lists. Now let's add some few other elements in this list, like few numbers 3, 6 and 7. Now we can just change the lower limit to 2. We can leave the upper limit empty. This means that start from the index 2 and include all the remaining elements of the list. So let's see. As you can see, it included the starting index, that is 2, and then included all other values. This can be same with the lower limit as well. Suppose I specify a upper limit of 4 and leave the lower limit empty. Now it will include all the elements up to index 3 because we know 1 less in the upper limit is included. So let's see. Yes, it included all the elements up to index 3. By using these index, we can also store some specific element of this list inside of a variable. Let's see. I will just quickly make a variable named string, which will be equal to, I want it to be equal to the string abc at the index 1. So I will write the name of the list, that is first list, and I will specify the index, that is 1, and I will print this string here. Let's see. As you can see, the variable string contains a string abc that was from list. We can also get elements inside of a nested list. For example, in our first list, we have a nested list that contains two elements, 30 and Hamza. So how I can get elements inside of a nested list? I will just write the index at which the list is. So the nested list is at index 2. Then I will add two more square brackets and specify the index inside of that list. So inside of this nested list, we have 30 at index 0 and Hamza at index 1. So if I want to print Hamza here, I will specify the index 1. So what I am saying here is, in the first list, go to the index 2, then inside of that index element, go to the index 1. So on index 2 we have this list, and on its index 1 we have Hamza, so it should print Hamza. As you can see, it printed Hamza. We also know that every character in a string is also at some particular index. So A is on index 0, B is on index 1, C is on index 2. So I can also get some particular character from this string as well. So to do that, I will first specify the index of this string, that is 1 in the outer list, and then index inside of this string. For example, I want to print B, so B is on index 1. Let's run it. As you can see, it printed B. If I change the second index to 2, it will print C. So that's all for this session. You can play around with list by changing indexes and making different lists. So by practicing this, your concepts will become stronger. In the next lecture, we will learn about some functions that we can apply on lists.